It's August, time to fill our raised garden beds and start our fall garden. First layer, woody pigeon pea and mesquite tree branches. They break down nice and slow, providing organic matter, nitrogen, and other nutrients. Trees are longer lived and the roots go deeper, which means even more nutrients. And I like to cut these into 6 to 12 inch sections. Next layer is going to be our Mexican sunflower cuttings. These two plants will provide plenty of material for our garden beds. Mexican sunflowers break down faster, have a higher nitrogen content, so much so that they're often referred to as green manure. So as they break down, they'll feed soil life like earthworms and microbes as they break down. I like to cut these into 6-inch sections. Remember that old soil we were revitalizing in the last video? I'm so pride. That soil is ready to use. I like to add at least 6 inches of soil in my raised garden beds so the new seedlings can get established while the lower layers break down. We're actually going to add a lot more because I know this soil is going to settle. Alright, time for the square foot gardening grow bags. These are too small to add branches and other cuttings to, so we're just going to refresh the soil by digging a well into each section and adding more soil. Okay, looking good. So after filling the beds, I watered them in really well and let them settle for a few days. And now it's time to top dress with amendments. I like to add ground alfalfa, bone meal, blood meal, sulfur pellets, and earthworm castings. So I mix it into the top few inches of the soil, water it back in, and let it rest overnight. Finally, we get to plant our seedlings. Lots of squash, cucumbers, and greens, which is why we made sure to provide so much nutrient-dense fill material and amendments. The white stuff at the base of the plants is perlite. That has been the only thing I've found that works to keep bugs from chewing the base of my tender seedlings. Alright, our seedlings look good. It's time to add more mulch. So our mulch is super important. It's going to regulate soil temperature, keeping it warm in the winter and cool in the summer, especially here in the desert. I added a drip system to the grow bag, so there's an emitter in each square. The mulch is going to help hold that moisture in. I like to use straw mulch for vegetables. It's light and airy, so it allows water and nutrients to easily reach the soil over time. So here's a closer look at the mulch. It's nice, small cut, very fine, and easy to spread. I haven't had any issues with this mulch blowing away. I think because it's cut so well, and once you water it in, it stays in place. Another benefit of adding mulch is that it will break down and turn into compost. So using something light and fine cut like this straw will break down fairly quickly, and I like to add a nice thick coating of mulch, so probably a couple of inches are in there. You can go as far as 4. Since I have a problem with those little bugs that chew up the base, I try to go back and clear space around the base of the plants. Let's take a look at how we did. We completely covered the soil. We have a mix of cucumbers, a variety of basil, callaloo, okra. The drip system is one of those soaker hose. And of course our ant traps. This time of year they're constantly trying to swarm and take over our beds. On this side I have our squash, more basil, as well as late season loofah. I just made sure to pull up the emitters and make sure they didn't get clogged and can provide ample water to our seedlings. So our seedlings are snug in their bed, so it's time to protect them with shade cloth. I like to use 50%. It's still hot out and the UV index is still high. So this will promote large leaves as well as finish off the hardening process. It's been a week. Let's check in on our seedlings. Looks like the irrigation held up, kept our seedlings nice and happy. The basil is thriving. I like to go in and pinch the tips to keep for a bushier plant. As a companion plant, basil is pretty helpful to the majority of plants, but it also helps repel flies and mosquitoes. Callaloo is thriving. Looks like it might be time to thin. The okra has really taken off, and this is what I was talking about, the shade leaves, so these broad, tender leaves, so they look very good and healthy. All right, it's August, and it's time to see how our revamped garden beds are doing. It's still pretty hot here, so I have shade cloth up. This is 50%. Everything looks pretty promising. Okay, let's take a closer look and see what we have here. So if you remember, this is the bed that previously had sugarcane in it and was half empty. And we have since filled it. We have okra, cucumbers. These are Armenians. They're great for hot weather, so they're perfect for this transitional season. There's one sugarcane trying to hang in there, but it looks like they're not coming up in the back anymore. Basil, a great companion plant. And in the front, there's a row of callaloo. This is a great tasting green that's great for hot weather. Another okra. This is a squash, I believe. Let's see if we can find its tag. There we go. It is, Suya long cucumber. These are very tasty. And the leaves are beautiful over here. Dare say they love our soil mix. More okra. Let's see what type this one is. This one is, let's see, leaf basil. There we go. This is a Burmese. All right. And if you remember, these were all grown from seed indoors and then transplanted out. Let's get in here, have a look at this basil. So that purple color, let's see what this one is. Oh, this one was a basil blend. Oh, I see up here. So this can actually probably needs to be trimmed. And callaloo again, and at the end here you see there's a few little ones, so we're gonna pick these and we can cook these. And let's go around the back. These are our seedlings. These are some of our desert adapted plants like desert milkweed and lantana and Mexican bird of paradise. All right, so over here we have lemongrass. Let's see, long beans. And I set up a drip system for this set, which is part of the reason they're very successful. So I have a drip here, and I have emitters for each section of the square foot garden grow bag. And this is where I have our squash. So squash, more basil. This is a loofah. Definitely happy here. Okinawa spinach. Lots of basil, chives. These are in cups now, so I wasn't sure. I just put these in there to help them harden off rather than transplant them straight away in really hot weather and shock. So I want to get them used to where they are, where they're going to go. And then once they are hardened off to this spot, I'll go ahead and transplant them. And they're about there now. They look happy. They perked. They ran off. And let's see, what kind of squash is this? Honey nut. So this will be our winter. Our winter squash. And this is more basil. This is actually a holy basil. That's why the leaves are serrated at the end. It's like it's trying to flower. It's a little early, so I'm gonna pinch that off. All right, we're off to a good start. And let's check on these beds, the ones we haven't cut anything down in yet, just to see how they're progressing. Let's see, so this is the watermelon bed, and it looks like we have a decent sized watermelon growing. These are fridge size, so it's not going to get much bigger. At this point, it's just going to be watching to see if it's ripe. And in this bed, we have a melon that's just starting to flower. I've cut leaves from the loquat to start filling this is. This is a cranberry. The leaves are edible. To tomatillo, looking good. And some bell peppers. Onions are coming up, but you can see the soil is super low. And I only have a handful of plants per bed. That's really a waste of space. So I'm gonna start cutting back and filling in. I have a feeling most of these plants will be fine if I add soil. All right, that's it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you next time.